Alright, so almost a week ago, I came up with a change of plans. You can look at my last video, or one of my last videos, where I decided that I was going to focus on dueling primarily until I got quite good at it. And I had like a tier system. So the first step was going to be I was going to get good at dueling, and then the second was I was going to get good at arenas. I explained it all in that video, so go look at it. The third step was then I was going to get good at OPRs, and then I was going to go back into wars. So at the moment, I'm focusing on the duels, and my plan was to make like a week-long kind of summary of how it all went, but I've just got so many duels here that I might actually do it day by day. So this video will be my first day of dueling. So and remember, I haven't dueled properly and regularly for like 6 months, so I'm basically back to being a noob. And so a lot of this will be coming from my hindsight a week later, well, almost a week later, 5 days later, but also just, yeah, like from a perspective of someone who's basically beginning to duel again. But I'm going to go through all the things I did right, all the things I did wrong, who I fought, how many times I won, what classes I found difficult, which ones I didn't, that kind of stuff. So here it goes. One of the biggest overarching themes I learnt was get over your ego. It's a real ego check, really, because when you start to duel, you lose a lot, and you start losing all the time, and the only thing that's going to make that unenjoyable for you is if you've got a bit of an ego. And really what an ego is, I think, is it's thinking that you're better than the person that you're fighting, and they're beating you. Like, that's the only time the ego is going to annoy you, that you think you deserve to win, but you're not winning, are you? And so, you know, it's basically like you're thinking you're better than someone without having to prove it, you know what I mean? So once you get over that and you respect your opponents and you think they're all capable of beating you, it means when you lose to them too, you don't feel so, like, slighted, because it's like, well, yeah, I lost. Very cool. Alright, my first set of duels were with Nameless on his great sword and hatchet light armor. So this is kind of an assassin build, and I kind of could find these guys quite easy on a medium bruiser to fight. And so it was actually a good way to start. Man, it was gone are the days. They used to be really tough for bruisers, but I find them really easy now. And one of the things was that I could really prey on there, which was quite good, was that he was running out of stam. And so I was able to prey on that quite a bit and get my damage in. Like right there, he's out of stam. I don't really capitalize on it there, but that was quite good. And so I'm going to talk about how many times I win and how many times I lose, so that there's no one can sort of say that I'm trying to outdo them. So I won 5 of these fights and he won 4. But at the start, I was absolutely dominating him. But then then he started to figure it out, and then he actually pulled it back. I think at one point I was up quite ahead of him, and then he started to win back to back towards the end. So he obviously figured out the strat, which is one of those videos here where I think with a light armor you kind of duck in, get the damage off, and duck out. But that's the whole point of, I guess, the good thing about dueling is, like, if you really stick around, you know, you don't just give up and you keep trying to fight these hard specs, you'll figure out your own tactics and then come through like Nameless did. But yeah, so that was 5 wins to me, 4 losses to him. And the reason I'm doing this is because it's going to enable me to see where my weaknesses are and work on that, and also just because I want to know when I'm a good dueler, so knowing how often I'm winning will help with that. Okay, so my first Bruiser duels, which is the ones I'm most interested in. So the first Bruiser kind of chain of duels was with Pseudo. So this was me at my absolute worst. And you can see that he's kind of like, I think my DPI was quite low because he was sort of running around and I was finding it hard to track him. There were kind of 3 reasons for that. One was my DPI was a little low, so I changed that, which that helped. But also, it's really important to have like little mini breaks before each attack. So as you go for your swing, after it's swung, you just take a little millisecond to see what the opponent's doing, and then you do your next swing, and I find that really helps you to track where your opponent is standing, but it also allows you to react if they're going to try to stun you. So I wasn't doing that. And then the other thing too was that I was just spamming through my skills rather than just light attacking him and building up that Mauler's Fury and then getting all that damage in. Okay, here's the classic example. So I hit him with my light attack there, right? So we do an equal trade, and then I don't wait to see where he moves. I just start spamming my light attack, and then of course he's dodged, and now I just hit here and he gets a free attack on me. So just taking that little millisecond just to line him up, make sure he's not trying to stun you, makes all the difference I've noticed in duels. And look, I have to back away and all sorts of stuff. So it really puts me into a bad position to be in to doing that. And that it'll also avoid those big stun combos, which I just got caught into. So we fought 3 times. He won 2, and I won 1. So that was that. That was my first Bruiser duels. But, man, after dueling for a little bit that day, and then you go into an arena and you're absolutely dominant. Like, you're just so warmed up that you get into fights and you're just like, everything's smooth, you're dodging perfectly, you're landing all your hits. So, yeah, even, like, just dueling a little bit in that day when I went back into arena, I really noticed the difference. So don't let anyone tell you that dueling doesn't make you better. Alright, so the next person I fought was Astrid Minx from Black Rose Order. They won 7, I won 5. So by this stage, yeah, obviously it's still my first day, but I'm getting a little bit better. I'm not getting caught out and stunned so much, because I'm taking those little mini breaks. I'm watching what they're doing just before I go for my second attack. And so it's able, and you can see that I'm not getting caught out by them. I'm not getting kind of dance circles around me. I run myself out of stam there, but they're quite low, and I'm able to just be really aggressive and finish it off. Right, the reason I lost, is because I started, so I'm tracking well, and I'm dodging their stuns, but the problem starts right here. Okay, so they do their Maelstrom, and they hit me with their final part of their Maelstrom. I do my Maelstrom, but then they dodge the last part of my Maelstrom. And so, now, I'm hitting them for 25% less, or whatever the number is that they're hitting me for. One of the first things I do in duels later on in the week was I always try to make sure, because I know the Maelstrom will come early, and I try to make sure that I dodge their second attack and I hit mine, so that I've clearly got the advantage, right? Because that just put me into a big deficit compared to them, and then the kind of pressure is on me, so they can be really aggressive. And I try to catch them in a stun to even the odds, but it doesn't work. So here's a good example of how I won, and it's basically me not trying to go for those stuns. I stay on my Great Axe bar, I build up my Muller's Fury to as high as it's gonna go, so I'm hitting really hard. I catch them in the Maelstrom there. Well, they've caught me, so we're both getting Maelstrommed, basically, but that's fine. I'm dodging their attacks. I managed to catch them in a stun there. But I was able to build my Maelstrom up to about 10, which means that I was like hitting really, really hard. Right, next up is a BB Blunderbuss VG Void Gauntlet, and I'm trying to sort of avoid fighting too many decks or ranged players. Just for now, I want to kind of focus on the Bruisers, but if there's kind of no one else to fight, I'll fight them. And so I'm trying to use my Warhammer so I can use the lunge on the Warhammer to kind of get a hit on them. And it'll slow them down. So if you see me trying to sort of use my Warhammer to swing at them, that's what I'm doing. And then I managed to get him into a heavy attack and kill him. So yeah, the fights went in his favor. I won 3, he won 5. So you can sort of see here, like, the Blunderbuss can just put so much damage into you. Trying to catch him in a stun, but he's kind of doing a good job of dodging them right here. So yeah, it's pretty GG at this point. Oh, he almost ran himself out of stam, but yeah, he finishes down. Alright, so now we go up against the bigger dog, Pedro. He definitely dominates me in a lot of fights. He's like a really good bruiser. But I start off really well in this fight. You can see I'm dodging, and I'm taking my time with my hits. So I'm not getting caught out, and I'm able to track him even though he's moving, like, you know, dancing around me. But it's about here where I start to kind of lose it a little bit. He catches me in a stun there. You've got to be really careful about using your big attacks. You don't really need to use them. The main goal would be to build up your Muller's Fury and just hit them with your light attacks, which would be really hard hitting. Usually if I get caught out in a stun, it's because I'm trying to do a stun myself with some kind of stupid attack. So that's what he has definitely taken advantage of. So then he gets me into a bit of a heal deficit and then is able to finish me off. You can see the same pattern here again. when I'm light attacking him, I'm actually pretty good at staying on top of him and focusing and hitting him and dodging his stuns. But there's my first mistake. I go for, so now I don't have Mauler's Fury. I actually catch him in that though. But now I've lost my Mauler's Fury, and then, you know, I'm trying to do all these fancy moves. And then he catches me in a stun, you know. And now I'm at a deficit. So when I'm staying on my light attacks and trying to build up the Mauler's Fury, I do better than if I'm trying to stun people. Sometimes it's best just to do that. Rather than trying to do anything fancy. Especially against good players like this guy. So this is a good example of me doing it right. You'll see that I stay on my Great Axe bar a lot more. And so then it's a lot harder for me. So I'm really just laying into him, getting the Mauler's Fury going. And see, he has to back off now. I dodge his attack. Now, that was silly. So I'd almost preferred to have stayed on the Mauler's Fury. But that's coming in hindsight where I've dueled a little bit. And I'm kind of 1 week in. But you can see I am being a lot more aggressive. And I'm not being too bothered. So now he's gone on into his Warhammer, but I still have my Mauler's Fury proc, so I'll be hitting him harder. I get him in a stun there, and then I'm able to finish him. Right, this was the hardest matchup of the day. He won 13 duels, and I won 1. So, and I've been looking through these videos, and I'm not exactly sure what I could be doing to counter it. I know again, I feel like I'm switching to my Warhammer to sort of like try to get those stuns off, and then I lose my advantage. But you can see here, we've got a pretty good, but then I go with the Warhammer, and then he catches me in a stun. I catch him in a stun, but he got a lot of freedom, so he dodges a lot of my stun attacks as well, but some of you more seasoned duelists out there can maybe tell me. So there I get caught in a stun. So I'm catching him in stuns. It's just that he's got so much freedom he gets out of it. But he's just heavy attacking. Like yeah. And I think because I've got kind of low strike, then he hits me pretty hard. But I still feel like I could be doing better. I think what I really need to be doing is just staying on my Great Axe. So that when I keep doing that, I keep going for that stun. And if I hadn't have done that, I probably would have been doing quite a lot more damage. I think that's maybe the key. So yeah, just really leaning heavily into those Mauler's Furies really helps, I think. Something that I've kind of learnt to do later on in the week, which we'll have the videos coming up. So you can see here, see I go back into that stun and then I lose those Mauler's Fury procs. Although I catch him in a stun. This is my 1 win. I dodge that grab well nicely. Get him into a grab well of my own. Catch him in the Maelstrom. Yeah, that was my 1 win. And they're in some brilliant circular kind of, I don't know, I've started off my day with an assassin and I finished my day with an assassin. This guy, we had 3 fights, I won 2 and he won 1. And so, just trying to, with them I'm trying to time my attack so I can hit them. Like, man, when you hit them hard. I like that. Anyway, everybody, that was day 1. Hope you enjoyed it, and I will try to do 1 a day, I guess. It'll be a good way for me to update my fights and how they went every night and stuff like that. Yeah, so I will see you all again very soon, and hope you're enjoying this new series. It's been kind of fun to be dueling again, to be honest. But yeah, main thing I reckon takeaway message is not being too egotistical. You know, just sort of realizing that anyone can beat you, and so not expecting to win. I don't know. It's kind of just get yourself the right frame of mind. All right, I'll see you all later. Bye.